Hello, classmates. Sarah Beth here. Today I am presenting a walkthrough of my practicum project. For this project, I partnered with Fayette County School District in West Virginia to design and develop an online training and resource binder for new and incoming art teachers into the district. A little bit of information, background information, is that in this county there is no official fine arts training for incoming teachers. So this would include teachers who would teach general music, K through 12, band, strings, dance, drama, visual arts, any of those. They don't have a formal training to help them get started for their school year. So while there is a state approved mentor program in place, it doesn't actually begin until September and most of the times in October. And it doesn't include the elements that this training does, which is to prepare the new fine arts educator to beginning their first year of teaching in the district. So where this fits in is that the new hire program is that the county orientation, after county orientation ends, which is where onboarding, you pick your insurance, retirement, all of that. This is the gap between that and the state approved mentor program that's already in place. And so it's definitely needed. And so I'm excited and have been excited to present this to the county. So the program that I designed is two parts. First is an online training program that focuses more on the teaching aspect of what to do, what not to do. And then there is an accompanying fine arts educator training manual and binder. Now, the binder is a physical a document that's given to the teachers, but there is also an ebook, an electronic version, so that it's easy to access, and that is actually embedded into the online training as well. So first, let's look at the binder overview, just simply because that's the bulk of the project. It is fairly lengthy. It's 67 pages long. I didn't realize it was going to be that long, but there's just a lot of information to know. So I love the fact that it's something that new teachers can work in or just use it as a point of reference for things that they're going to need to know as they get started. So let's look at first the table of contents to just kind of give you an idea about what's included in it. It starts with, job descriptions, roles, and responsibilities. And then it goes on to, finding more about, knowing your school, how to set up your classroom, what kind of record keeping or attendance are we going to keep, what are some classroom management strategies that are specific to fine arts educators, and then how do we assess? How do we do assessments in fine arts rooms? It's a little bit different and can look very different than it does in the general classroom. And then we talk about, event planning, field trips, scheduling concerts, art shows, lesson planning, what that looks like for the fine arts teacher, and then communication, online tools. That's another bulk situation that I wanted to focus on in the project as well. Is there are so many online programs that we need to know, such as how to enter in information in order to get a substitute if we have to be out a day if we're sick, or even have a professional development we need to attend. Other things are how to get approval for field trips, how to enter in our professional development plan and our goals, and how to deal with our evaluation criteria. Is the criteria, but how do we access our evaluations, our end of the year evaluation? So all really important information. First thing I want to go to in this, just to kind of give you an idea about how it actually runs, is that, of course, we have some title pages, and then you have, the information that you need. There's that job description I was talking about. One thing about the binder that I really like is that there are lots of checklists in there. So it's for type A'ers, this is great, and many teachers are that way. So not only is there a place for you to check, yes, I've done this, I've checked this off of my list, but there's also places for them to put in information that they can refer back to later. Another thing that's important in the binder is being able to track our budget. Budgets for the fine arts teacher is a little bit different than the regular classroom. There are still the same. There's still the same processes in place, but it may look a little bit different because the budget looks a little bit different for us, just simply because we don't get all of our supplies and things like that in one place. So we have lots of things that we got to think about. And then our monies that we receive are many times in different types of funding accounts rather than just one spending account. So it looks a little bit different. So here are some questions that a new finance teacher will want to know and to ask. This is, again, a fill out. You can fill this out, or the teacher can't. If they don't want to do that, they don't have to, but it's here for them to do. And then next, you have your orders list. So this is where you put in information on the orders, where you want to order from, what the price was, did I receive it? That's really important too, because the accountants will come after us if we don't have all that information. And then there's another bulk part of this binder, and that's your online tools. And it has information that you need to know to refer back to, but what I really like is it has lots of screenshots. It has, first I need to do this. My next screen says, yes, I need a substitute, continue. Fill this information in. This is what I need to know. It is literally step by step. This was a major selling point when I first was talking about doing this project with the district. Was they were like, yes, I really like this. So this is definitely needed at the ground level, just to have that reference. So that was kind of neat that was one of the buy-ins for this. So I was really happy to be able to include this. And so that kind of wraps up the binder section. Really enjoyed doing the binder, and again, that's the bulk of it. I also have created an online training program as well. It's, of course, half of the project, but it's mostly some considerations that fine arts teachers are going to need to have when they start their own classroom in a new school. And some things they may have learned in school or in their internship, but it's a whole different story when you have your own room or when you have your own program. And so just, five main parts of the online program, created that in Storyline 3. And so let's kind of look at that too. So, of course, it's some of it's interactive, right? We can continue on. Let's talk about where we fit in. The part that I really like about this is personalizing. How do we personalize our classroom? So when a brand new teacher first starts teaching, one of the first things, and I was guilty of this as well when I was a new teacher, is I wanted to know where my classroom was, and I automatically started decorating. But there is a lot more that goes into it than having really pretty things on the wall. It has to be instructionally focused. And so a few things for teachers to think about is, this is what a general a really great music room would look like. But there are some things that we need to discover, whenever we're figuring out, room placement, personalizing the classroom. And so it has some interactive elements here. You want to locate the outlets and activity jacks. Next thing, what's the instructional space going to look like? Where are the kids going to be, and how are they going to get there? Are we obeying fire codes? Is there an entrance and an exit? and then you can get into that theme if you really want to. So this labeling activities was really neat, and I'm glad that I was able to include this into the design, because it's really important for teachers just to really focus on the important things rather than all of the fluff that's going to come later. And then another thing that I wanted to really focus on was planning events. So when we're planning events, it can be very, very overwhelming. And events can be field trips. Events can also be concerts. They can be art shows. Lots of different types of events that we need to, that are usually unspoken requirements of our jobs. And it's important to know for us, and in the whole aspect of the training, is why we do it. And the really important part is that parent involvement aspect of it. And then, of course, it's another assessment part too. So planning events can be, like I said, crazy. So in the design, I built in a little bit of interactivity here. You kind of go through the different motions here of the process of planning, preparing, practicing, and then finally getting to the actual performance of it. They can click on, the learners can click on each one. If they click, they get a little bit more information and some bullet points to think about. So that interactivity is baked into the program too. There are knowledge checks after each of these sections, and then a final assessment at the very end. The assessment's great at the end. The bulk of it, though, is an action plan that they can actually take to their principal or administrator. And then taking that from their administrator and principal, and also working with the mentor that's going to take over that program from there on out. But anyway, just to make this this went a little bit longer than what I expected, but just a general overview of what I designed. Positive points. My most favorite part is probably the binder. If I had to do it over again, I would make it into more of a planner, adding the calendar, just being that one very big go-to for the new fine arts teacher. Least favorite was probably in the online training. If I had to do it over again, I would probably approach it from a scenario-based perspective rather than you need to know this, do this, this, and this next. I think, I think it accomplishes the purpose that I set out for it, but I think scenario-based learning would probably be a little bit more personalized for the learner as they go through the training that they can, of course, respond back to or refer back to. All right, there it is. There is the Fayette County Fine Arts Training, and thanks so much for listening.